I love everything to do with fitness and music and writing. Sometimes there are places that still you might not feel welcomed in, and you have to be okay with that. I used to find love and that sense of home on like all these different tracks that I used to go on.
Kia ora everyone, and welcome to today's podcast with voiceofaroha. I'm Ansh, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Sahar and Alex. Hi Sahar, how are you doing?
Hi Ansh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. So we're here with our guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, kia ora everyone, I'm Rebecca, and I was invited by the lovely Sahar to come on the podcast today, so I'm really excited to chat to you guys.
Cool, thank you. Lovely to see you here, and I'm so happy that you make it and we're doing this now. Thank you for coming.
Awesome. When we were back there just chatting, I heard that you and Sahar had met before. Can you guys tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes. Sahar, you and I, we go back to, for me, honors year, which is 2021.
Yes.
So just after COVID, I met you at the Bubble. The Bubble is a space at the Kelburn University where every time I used to go there, Sahar was either just coming back from a lecture or just midway through studying, and I was like, how does this girl study so much? When I was just there distracting everyone, being like, la 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 la, do you want to go and get coffee from the lab? And I chatted to her and we hit it off, and then actually, funnily enough, years passed after we graduated. You went and had a beautiful baby. Mm-hmm. You got married. I was like, damn, this girl's going places. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, we got in contact again.
Gotcha.
And you were like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? Which was a huge surprise to me because I wasn't sure. I was very honored. I was like, oh, I would love to come on here, but I wouldn't know what I could share, possibly, except for the fact that I love talking. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, I still remember the Bubble, how I was like studying, like very boring, and then and then Rebecca came to the Bubble, and like the vibe has changed. It's like it's all turned from study to fun, like
distraction.
Very nice energy you bring to the place.
That's so sweet. So that's how we met. That's how we know each other.
Cool. So I'll just start. Rebecca,
yes.
You do lots of things.
Yes.
And how would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, how do I like to introduce myself?
Yes.
I am a jack of all trades, master of none. No, I am a very how do I even put this? I love everything to do with fitness and music and writing, and I'm a huge yapper, so I like to talk about a lot of things that I'm passionate about, and I've lived in a lot of places, so very often I'll always get people asking me, oh, your accent is so weird, where's it from? And I'm like, okay, I have to go through the whole story, but essentially, yeah, all the different places that I've lived have given me like so many cool, unique experiences. I guess, actually, a lot of people say I'm a child of the universe. Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's the New Zealand style of asking people like where they are from. Like the accent is not from New Zealand, so tell us more.
No, but funnily enough, I do say some things like bed, like really Kiwi. Mm-hmm. When I first came here, I lived in South Africa 8 years prior to that, so I had a really thick South African accent, like really thick. If I say Afrikaans, I'm gone. I can't even like stop. So I remember thinking, okay, I have to try and get rid of this as soon as I can. And then when I introduce myself to people, either they'll think I'm American or British, which I think is like just completely the opposite. And then my partner, who I'm with, he's Chinese Malay, so there's like that little bit in there too.
Sprinkled.
Yeah,
that's nice.
So just I'm from everywhere. From everywhere.
I'm from this universe, right? That's cool.
Do you think that's been an advantage or a challenge in the industry?
In the industry? Actually, so obviously the question is twofold here.
Yeah.
Advantages of being culturally ambiguous, a lot. I can mold myself into so many different places, and relate to a lot of people as well. I think if you ask me, oh, why are you so sociable? It's because I feel like, because I've had to move around a lot. I went to 6-7 different schools in my lifetime, so I couldn't ever really make friends. I had to be very good at leaving people behind, as sad as that sounds, but making friends, knowing in the back of my mind I was going to leave them. So I never had like both feet in. I was always like one elbow in the door, ready to, move on. So I learned how to have meaningful connections, but also not be too attached in the sense that it's the be all or end all. So I'm very sociable in the sense that I have a lot of friends, but then I also have my core group of people who I spend a considerable amount of time and energy with. So it's like I'm very what's the word? Not particular. I'm very
Specific.
Specific, like intentional.
Oh, okay.
Intentional with the people that I spend my time with. So that's one thing that I've learned that's been a huge asset for me. But I guess some of I don't even want to call it a disadvantage. It's a very privileged term to even feel like you're disadvantaged in that sense. But something that I've struggled with being multicultural is finding my footing, knowing that I'm a diaspora, and even a diaspora from where. Like I'm trifold. I'm Indian, I'm Belgian, I'm also South African, but then I've lived here for 13 years. So again, when people ask me where am I from, I've boiled it down to I am Belgian of Indian descent. But even then, people will ask me questions like, oh, so where are your parents from? Like, because they think they're Indian. And I'm adopted. So that's another segue to a whole another avenue of conversation. It's the only thing that I would say I've not even struggled with, that I've had to come to terms with, is when I step into a space, I know the value that I bring, but I understand that sometimes there are places that still you might not feel welcomed in, and you have to be okay with that. And I had to learn how to be really self-sure. Like, just be like, no, I earned my place here, and it's if it rubs people the wrong way, or if they have insecurity about me being there, that's not really a problem. That's integral to me.
Wow,
so yeah,
that's important. Actually.
It's important. Yeah, knowing how to stand your ground, knowing that you belong, even the sense of belong. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've felt spaces where you don't feel like you're welcome in there. Can you share an example of this, and how did you navigate this, if you can?
I will preface by saying it was mostly when I was probably out of university. All the spaces prior to that, I felt like, because you're understanding yourself before you become an adult, or even when that happens. Bro, I'm 25 years old. I don't even feel like I'm an adult yet. Although going to Briscoe's makes me really excited, because when you go buy a new cooking pan, you're like, oh my gosh, oh wait, am I an adult now? But prior to moving to New Zealand, I felt like I'm very. My parents are they are both Belgian, and they raised me very Western, and I pretty much have generational privilege through them, in the sense that I went to a private school. I went on holiday twice a year. That's unbeknownst to a lot of people. Not a lot of people have that privilege, and I traveled so much that I also, I guess, I was able to see the world from such a young age already really vibrantly. So I was very creative already from a young age, from the get-go. So growing up, I felt like there was a part of me that always felt a little bit displaced, only because I was in for example, in my private school, I had maybe one other person who was a person of color. And I came to New Zealand, and that didn't, not to say it didn't get any better, but there was such a stark contrast between me and all the other kids. Even coming to Queenstown, it's a small community, even though it's a touristic town. But the high school in and of itself was still predominantly very white, and that's a whole conversation in and of itself. I don't want to go down that. Don't want to get into that. And I think coming out of university was such a beautiful space for me. Obviously meeting you, but then also all our friends from the bubble, like they came from different parts of the world too, right? Very diverse. And that's when I first heard the phrase that diversity is inviting someone to the party, inclusion is inviting them to dance. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, damn, that's something that I've lacked a lot. I feel like I've been very much welcomed in a lot of places, even at work. They're always, in the job descriptions, they'll write about diversity and inclusion. And then actually seeing that played out in real time is very rare, at least for me. But back then, I was very naive, so I always thought, and I want to also preface by saying, when you are someone who's only seen one side of the coin for a really long time, it can be difficult not to go down the rabbit hole of, oh, I'm a minority and I'm just by default always going to feel displaced. Mm-hmm. So when I came out of uni, I was able to navigate that a lot better because I had that self-awareness, like it's okay if I know deep down inside that either it's like, unfair treatment, or if I don't feel safe somewhere, I know I can just remove myself. It's a very big privilege to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And luckily, how do I even put this in a light way? It's really about how I had to learn to be confident enough in myself that I didn't let that consume me. Mm-hmm. That fear of, oh, do I belong? Do I fit in?
Yes.
And all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
It's huge. Yeah. It's overbearing. It's all consuming. It's always in your face. It's always in my face. Yeah. Whenever I look in the mirror as well, I'm like, oh, do I belong where I am right now?
It's like the journey of finding yourself, and
it's huge. A lot of people, even to this day, even at this age,
yes,
probably
absolutely.
are still going through that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, there was a lot of stuff in
I
that.
know, that was a big topic, big topic.
But like so many like stories that I'm just more curious about. Going back to you being a third culture kid, how would you say that has shaped your journey finding your passion, as you just mentioned, in life?
Wow, big question as well. Yeah. So third culture kid kind of goes hand in hand with being culturally ambiguous. I felt that when I moved here, I knew, okay, I am in a foreign country. I need to make a name for myself. And I also knew that being a woman and being a person of color, again, back then, I was very consumed with the idea of, oh, I'm always at a disadvantage, so I need to prove myself. And I got to a point where I always had to like over-excel and overachieve, and always, if I even had a chance to have the microphone, I was like, wow, okay, cool, I really worked hard for this, to be recognized. I've met so many incredible people who've had the same experience as me, coming to New Zealand and feeling, not to say a second-class citizen, but a little bit like, even with immigration, and it took my family and I years and years and years, we only got permanent residence, 6 years ago, but that was after how many years? Oh my God, 4 or 5 years of going back and forth between immigration. And my family are all citizens of New Zealand now, which is, I haven't even applied. I don't know why. When it's right there in front of you, it's funny how often you don't take it, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. Well, no, it's not funny. It's actually more like shame on me, because I should be doing that. something my parents really fought really hard for. But being a third culture kid, my partner and I, we both relate to it so much because he's got an Asian upbringing, I've got a very Western upbringing, but somehow along that there are so many threads that completely relate. Like coming here, we had to learn the lingo, the slang here. We were both like, wow, is this the mentality or like how Kiwis talk to each other? And I think even now when I'm chatting to people, I constantly hear myself in the back of my mind like, oh, do I sound Kiwi? Am I like, a lot of even Pakeha people will tell me, oh, you sound like one of us. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Without even realizing subconsciously that I've just embedded myself into the fabric here so much. But at the same time, my uniqueness and my identity towards myself is like, I don't want that to get lost. And that's why I don't want to say I identify as a third culture kid, but it's integral to me, knowing that that's my roots, that's where I come from, and not letting that go. Because you can consumerism. Wow, big word, consumerism. But like it's a very consumeristic society in that we copy and paste so often, and what we see is like the status quo, and that's why I love Wellington so much. That's why I guess we're also all here. We love Wellington because it's such a vibrant city, and you can just really express who you want to be.
That's really nice. I was, while you're talking, I was thinking of like, I always have this idea of in my mind, if two people do not speak the same language, there will be a little bit hard communication. You know, it's hard to be like fully enjoying the conversation if we're not having the same language. And also in New Zealand, we lots of diverse people here, and you know, lots of languages as well. So how you're finding your communication? That's far away from our topics, but the communication like between you and your partner, like I feel like you mentioned like you guys going along together like very nicely, like and having this good relationship. How about communication even though the language is not the same?
Food.
Yeah.
Traveling.
That's a good question.
I was very lucky and fortunate to go to Malaysia last year for the first time, and even though I lived here for so long, I never traveled by myself without my parents, so it was a really exciting opportunity for me. I paid for my own flight ticket and everything. I was like, yes, I'm an adult now. I have adult money that I can spend, and I feel like there has to be some phenomenon wherein you feel like you've lived a lifetime before, or you've lived in another, I don't know, had the same experience before. And I felt like going to Malaysia. Luckily, all his parents, his family speaks English, but they also speak Hokkien, Cantonese, Mandarin. My partner speaks 5 languages, which that's so many. I speak 3, which I think is already like quite a lot.
Yeah.
And food, the nightlife there is so completely different. And when I stepped, even though right now I'm like, it's so hot right now and I'm sweating, but I love warm weather. I'm a tropical island girl, like head to toe. So when I first got there, I was like, I can see myself living here. And then I also felt like maybe I was a Malaysian in the past life. It's not coming out right now because my partner's not here, but when we talk together at home, it is the flattest Malaysian accent you can possibly hear, because we vibe off each other that way, you know. And you, again, the reason why my accent is also scattered is like I've lived in those little places, but then also met so many people. So I guess I don't know if that's a form of, I don't know, not to say, what's another word for like coping mechanism, but like a social cue when you start to mimic the person that you're talking to be relatable to them.
Oh, yes.
I found I did that a lot. And then people always ask me, oh, where's your accent from? Where's your accent? I'm like, well, it's lots of places. So yeah, but food definitely.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very interesting. Now, you've talked about how you've like traveled around a lot. How has that learning the cultures or the different places you've traveled to affected your view on the world, along with connecting with different people?
I definitely experienced a huge reality check after I moved from South Africa. I was 12 years old at the time, so I mean, there's a few things. I didn't have the opportunity to make any decision about where we went, so I traveled with my family everywhere. So if they move, I move, obviously. So it was a really difficult time for me because I had made such great friends over the last 8 years that I had to suddenly leave behind. And then coming to New Zealand, I felt like it's one thing to travel here on a holiday, it's a different to integrate yourself completely. And I felt like the kids here, well, I went to Queenstown Primary. Shout out Queenstown Primary. But also like the mentality is so different. And I came from a incredibly communal, like social group. And then into a society where I feel like, and I think a few other people who I've talked to about this agree with me, that there is a sense of individualism in New Zealand. And the older you get, the more distinct that becomes. And I see it when I went to high school. I saw it a little bit when I started working after uni. And I guess, yeah, so that's one thing, one aspect, individualism. Even kids growing up here, I can see the difference when I was in Malaysia. It's day and night. The kids there, they talk to adults from like a young age. My partner's family, they are, so his sister is Baha'i, Bobby's Baha'i as well. And they run children's classes. So her kids go to these children's classes, and I was so fortunate to go to one of them when I was there last year. And the inquisitiveness of the kids there is so different. When I come here and when I see the kids, I'm like, oh, there's definitely something a little bit, I don't want to say like they're not as open, but you can see there's like a reserved nature. And when I first moved to New Zealand, I felt that when I went to high school, I was hanging out with the international students. I wasn't hanging out as much with the other peeps, right? And I was like, okay, cool. It shows that when you've traveled and you're a cultured person, that we have a phrase in Belgium, which is like, soort zoekt soort, which means, it literally translates to type seeks type. So you search for your people in that sense. True. So I was always drawn to people who were from other places all the time. Not to say because I couldn't find it here, but I mean, if you're a Malaysian and you see, like, you meet a whole squad of Malaysians, like, you guys click, you have...
Yes, that's right.
I met one of my really close friends, Minska. I met her at honors in class, and she was from Belgium, and we just hit it off. And there's, like, we have the same childhood experiences growing up, you know? So it's taught me how important your heritage and your roots are, even when you're navigating the world. It's you always fall back. I always fall back to it. So yeah, I always fall back to my upbringing. Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. Cool.
Ooh, just a curious question. What is one thing that you were brought up with, like a rule or something you used to do, like your parents, I guess, enforced on you, that you think is different from, I guess, the rest of the world?
Ooh. Oh, that's a really good question.
Like, you know how slippers off in Asian households? Like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just... we actually, funnily enough... No, I lie. I lie. I had to learn that even if I step in the house now, in my own house, and I don't take my shoes off in the first 5 seconds, my partner will be like, why are your shoes still on? Something that my parents... oh God, I'm thinking about terrible examples, like table etiquette. No. Oh goodness. Yeah, I have... Okay, great example. Great question. In Western culture, and that's a huge umbrella way of saying in my family, from the moment that you go to uni, you come home every single weekend to visit your parents. it's a non-negotiable. But also because Belgium, the train system there, it's so easy to use. Actually, I don't know. I wouldn't know if it's easy to use. I never lived in Belgium, but it's like pretty much taking a bus, right? So here in New Zealand, when I decided I don't want to go to Otago, I was like, no, Wellington's my place. My parents were sitting at the prospect of their 18-year-old moving out the house and probably only coming back every like 2 or 3 months, which was so foreign to them. Even for my mom, I think it was more difficult for my mom because my family and I, we are just the 4 of us, plus my cat, the 4 of us, and all my other families in Belgium. So we are very tight-knit. Even coming to New Zealand, we are so tight-knit. So me going to uni and then not visiting every weekend was really hard. And that's like when I talk to my friend Minska, she's like, yeah, that's normal. Like in Belgium, you visit your parents every weekend. You go home. You even live with your parents still whilst you're at uni. So that's one big thing that I know my parents, not me, because I was like, freedom, yes, I'm so happy to be out the house. I outgrew my life in Queenstown. I really did. I outgrew the people. I felt like when I was in Wellington, everything is so accessible. It's like a breath of fresh air, rather. So going back every time, it felt more and more. It's like that feeling like, not to say a blessing and a curse, but it's bittersweet every time you leave and every time you come back home, because it's that same feeling of, I'm so excited to see you, but I'm so excited to go back and have my life in Wellington. And yeah, when you grow up, and when I'm thinking about it now, I don't visit my parents half as much as I should. That's not because the flights are stupendously expensive to go to Queenstown, but it's, you move on and you grow up and you live your life, and then it sounds so sad, but yeah, your parents do kind of, everything shifts, everything changes, and I'm sure they don't take it personally. They just know that, oh, Becca's got her own thing, her own gig, and I live with my partner, so, I mean, my home, and even though I don't know where home is yet, like, home to me is where love is. So it's back in Queenstown, but also so much of that is here.
And the flights are very expensive.
And the flights are very, very expensive.
They are.
I checked them, they're like $600 return. Yeah, so Air New Zealand sponsor me now.
Please.
please. Or just lower your flight fares. Yeah.
Thinking of more things. Going off what you said about like finding home.
Mm-hmm.
Where apart from love, which you mentioned, which was very beautiful, where else have you found home in Wellington?
Oh, I used to be an avid hiker. That's such a weird segue, actually, but I used to find love and that sense of home on like all these different tracks that I used to go on. So Ahumairangi in Northland is like a really beautiful track that I used to go on, and just the familiarity of it and knowing every time I go there, it's like I felt very in touch with myself, but also like that the relationship that I had with the whenua as well was so, I guess you could say it was like almost healing for me. And I would always go out to nature all the time. If you didn't see me at uni, I was always hiking. I'm pretty sure I saw you at one point. And every time I had my backpack on and my athletic clothes, right? I was always off somewhere for a hike.
Yes, I was like, can I go with you?
Yeah. I was like, Sahar, you should come with me. And home is, you realize, or at least I've realized, home is actually people. It's not so much places anymore. And I found, oh my god, cliche, but I found home in my partner. I also, even in the friends that I make, sometimes home is a friend that you've made 10, 12 years ago, and you are able to pick up where you left off all the time. And yeah, Wellington is definitely a part of my journey. Yeah. I say this with all the love in the world, but I know New Zealand won't be my forever home. It'll be a place I can come back to, but there's so much more out there that I want to go and see. I want to take my partner to South Africa. I want to explore the world a little bit more too. And you know, funnily enough, when COVID happened, all of that, I was going to go to Germany and study there, and then COVID happened, so I went and did my honors. And now that everything has settled down, except for flight prices, I'm just, the opportunity to do that is more abundant than ever. So yes, if things weren't so gosh darn expensive, traveling is the number one thing on my bucket list right now.
Yeah, that's the thing we all seek.
I think we all love to, all love to go travel.
Yes.
So more.
Yeah. That was a really beautiful conversation. Some great insights there, and I think we left off on a very good end. Travel, we all sort of crave it. And just a last tradition for Voice of Araha. The last guest writes a question for you, and I will get Sahar to read last week's guest.
Oh.
If you could make a positive change in your community today, which one would be? Like your community or the people that have the same experience as you did? So what would be like
a positive
the positive
change?
change? Yep.
Something that hits really close to home, literally at my doorstep as well. I live in the beautiful little, we call it kampung in Malaysia, which is village, but the little suburb of Newtown. And just being able to have better living, not even living conditions, but just like an incentive. We need to put more resources into helping homeless people. It's a huge conversation to have. I can definitely not fit my entire answer in the last few minutes of this podcast. But yeah, Tamitha Paul talks about it a lot as well. I think it's something from a privilege standpoint, I'm always thinking, why aren't we doing better? The problem is so granular. It's so much more than just black and white. This is the right, this is the wrong way to do it. So it's something very, very close to home for me.
That's it. Yeah. Lovely. That's good.
That's really lovely. And just wrapping up, thank you so much, Rebecca, for your time and this really great
welcome.
conversation. And thank you, Alex and Sahar, for co-hosting with me. And thank you to everyone watching. It's been a great podcast, and I hope you guys all have a great day at home. Bye-bye.